You've heard it said, health is wealth, so enrich your life with the Healthy Home Hour, brought to you by the Healthy Home Market every Sunday, 9 to 10 a.m. Know what's new and classic for health and wellness. Meet the local and national experts. Live God's plan to thrive, not just survive. I'm your host, Holly Adams, and welcome to the Healthy Home Hour.
Morning, friends. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being with us this Healthy Home Hour for a close look at what it really takes, what it really means to heal. What is it that inspires your body's natural healing response? I mean, even if you take good care of yourself with clean foods and water and exercise, you might still have lingering health issues, particularly as you age, or if there's been trauma in your life. And then there's your genes, what you get from your parents. And as you know, different medical models from around the world approach health differently, but most have their roots in one type of medicine. Today, we're talking about the ancient and modern medicine from India, Ayurveda, with Omar Cruz. That's Omar Cruz of the Himalaya Drug Company, that keeps that natural healing response in mind when formulating their products. Actually, they've been doing it since 1930, and now they're in 92 countries and still family owned and practice fair trade with farmers, lots of women in particular. 62% of their farmers are women, and the company is solar powered. So this is pretty extraordinary, right at the top of the line here. And I am stoked to have Omar Cruz in the house. Omar, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here again.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
Likewise.
You know, first off, I've got to ask you, is it Himalaya or Himalaya?
Well, it depends. If you read Sanskrit, it's Himalaya. They have a long A vowel and a short A vowel. So in Sanskrit, it would be Himalaya, but because English is so influenced by the Germanic, we have the Himalaya, which would be the kind of the transliteration from Sanskrit to English.
So it's sort of a tomato
exactly.
kind of thing? Okay.
Precisely.
So we can flip it around any way we want. You know, it's really always interesting to hear about new science and to know what's on the cutting edge in terms of botanical medicine. Even the name Himalaya Drug Company implies that herbs are powerful, but they're not what we think of as isolated drugs. But you do have clinical trials, just like with drug companies. In fact, over 1,200 human clinical trials on plant medicine. Tell us about the power of herbs versus drugs and why Himalaya has formulated these herbs the way that they have.
Definitely. It's a fine designation between the two. There's definitely a very strong difference. And when you look at drugs, generally, we know a good portion of them are actually synthesized from isolated compounds within a plant themselves. So as much as we think of drugs as being something very foreign, about a third of them are actually coming from a plant world. Now, when they're synthesized, they tend to act very differently than they would in nature. I mean, think about the idea of like a fake, hamburger versus a real hamburger. There's definitely a very big difference, even though they're conceptually the same. So you can isolate a compound from a plant, synthesize it, and the reason it's synthesized is because in the manufacturing world, you want consistency out of that product. You don't want rain or sunlight or blight or insects to devastate your new drug harvest. So from that perspective, if you can synthesize it, make it out of something that you can readily purchase and then manufacture, you have a steady form of product. Now, the plant world, however, is very complex. Oftentimes, we'll see a product or a compound within a plant that has activity, but what we don't have right now in scientific investigation is the way to measure synergy within the plant chemistry itself. So, oftentimes within a plant, take for example neem, which is a very popular plant in India. It's used both in body care products and in hair creams. It's used internally as well as externally as well.
Right.
There's over 200 isolated compounds within that plant that could possibly have some type of medicinal value. So when you look at that complexity, the drug design tends to fall apart because you're no longer going to probably find one magic bullet. It's actually going to be the marriage between the two. The kind of analogy I would give you is like imagine chocolate, which we all know and probably love. But if you add a little bit of caramel to it, for example, it takes on a different flavor. And then if you add a little bit of, pink Himalayan salt to it, then it takes on even a different perspective.
Right.
And plant chemistry is that way. One compound can be very interesting, but when you add it in the symphony of chemistry, then it takes on great depth and great potential in terms of medicine. The challenge is, of course, that we don't have scientific equipment that can measure and predict synergy. So we're limited with this kind of crude, isolated drug kind of approach until, the next wave of scientific measurement comes that can predict these things.
That's so interesting. It's when you talk about that, it seems as though it would be much better for your body. We know that drugs can be tough on your body. That the body's, everybody's very different one to another. Maybe they're, like you mentioned, the neem tree, for example, that there must be, within those 200 compounds, maybe 3 of them work for some people and 75 work for others. And so with the plant approach to medicine, it seems as though you would actually have a better result long term.
Yeah, and there's roles for both of them. When I used to teach, I used to always tell the students, if I broke my arm, don't take me to an herbalist, take me to the hospital and get me morphine. There's a role for drug medicine in it, and what I think drug medicine's done best really is emergency medicine. They seem to do truly incredible life-saving kind of aspects and functions with it. When we start seeing chronic conditions, or when you start seeing the word syndrome added to a disease, that's when you start seeing drug therapy kind of lose a little bit of its victory. A little bit of its shine comes off when we have these amorphous kind of confusing diagnoses. And again, the ones that ends in syndrome are really great, just kind of as a way of identifying PMS, for example, or IBS, for example, these syndromes that are kind of a bit of a catch-all. That's where drug therapy tends to kind of wane a little bit in its effectiveness. I like to call drug therapy big medicine. So if it's a big disease, big medicine seems to make a lot of sense. But what we tend to also see are these conditions that are difficult to diagnose or difficult to kind of corner in. And those seem to respond very well to these types of what we would call tonics, a long time ago. And now we would probably consider them nutrients and nutritional compounds, or even botanical medicine like we.
Interesting. In Ayurveda, like in Chinese medicine or more indigenous types of medicine around the world. And in fact, I've heard you talk about that Ayurvedic medicine is like the string for all the pearls that come from all the various types of medicines around the globe, that really everybody, it harkens back to Ayurvedic medicine. And one of the things that's so interesting about that is that it speaks more to sort of the etheric or the spiritual or the mind capacity of the human being. And your company has kind of a modern it represents a rich ancient tradition of medicine. And I've heard you say that these Himalaya formulations remind the body to heal itself, which is giving the body a lot of credibility for being powerful. That sounds like a great holistic approach to treating illness. But what do you mean by that?
Well, there's a couple ways of approaching it. And the ways you can approach a condition is by giving them something that they're missing. The idea of a deficiency state, the idea of truly a supplemental concept where you come in and replace something that's missing. The other equation, or the other side of the question, is why are they missing it? What happened to the body processes that they're not able to accommodate for these types of changes? When you look at the human body, we exist in a variety of environments, in a variety of conditions, stressful, relaxing, demanding. I mean, our bodies are truly miraculous. So disease truly is the exception. It is something that was inevitable for all of us. But when you think of all the miraculous effects that it does every day, truly it has the power to heal itself. I mean, think about it. We have over 100 trillion cells in the body, according to the latest research. It all started with one cell. Think about how much complexity moved us from one cell to 100 trillion to us sitting across from each other, talking to each other. I mean, imagine all the processes involved, and then to think of a cold, or, a bronchitis or laryngitis or something like that. And think about it truly in the minuscule effects of that word, like truly what happened to our body that we would succumb to something so small and minute. And that's when you start thinking and appreciating the idea that You can supplement. You can give someone an antibiotic. Maybe they're missing that true antibiotic function of our immune system. Whereas our perspective in holistic medicine is what happened to their immune system, that they weren't able to guard themselves well against that infection. If you look at any of just the cold studies in and of themselves, everyone gets about 4 to 5 colds a year, though they may never express symptomology to them. In other words, our immune system is constantly in a battle with something. Whether or not you become symptomatic is actually determined on the health of your immune system. But your immune system is always active. And so from that perspective, and Ayurveda said this, and of course, Himalaya, this is our working theory, is that how can we support the body's wisdom in approaching disease, in approaching aging, in approaching the manifestations of aging, so that we can utilize the true intelligence of our body versus relying on something synthetic or something foreign to do it for us.
Yeah, it's fascinating, really, to think about the brilliance of the body and the strength of the body, and it's an amazing concept. It seems to me that all this, you think that your immune system is working all the time, and you're keeping yourself from getting 4 or 5 or more colds a year, mm-hmm. and that's a lot of stress mm-hmm. on the body. Mm-hmm. Actually, what about the stress? I know Himalaya has a product called Stress Care that is a wonderful product, and it kind of, I guess before we even get to that,
sure.
Let's talk about the 3 doshas or types of mm-hmm. people that are underneath, just like a little thumbnail
right.
for us, if you will, about Ayurvedic medicine.
Sure. Ayurveda is the oldest system of medicine on the planet. It's been borrowed a million times over. It is the root for Chinese medicine, and history is now showing us that, which is great to see. It's the root to Vietnamese medicine, to Nepalese medicine, to Tibetan medicine. It even went all the way across to the Greeks. The Greeks actually borrowed completely their books on toxicology. Their early writings of philosophy were borrowed by the Greeks well before the Renaissance of Western thinking, in terms of Plato and Aristotle and even Socrates. So we know a lot of the thinking of India moved across Asia into even Europe. When we talk about the humors, the 3 humors of English medicine, those were borrowed from these same concepts of the doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Now, those are foreign words to many people. Essentially, what I want you to think about those is a classification. Think of it, for those of you who are old enough to remember the Dewey Decimal System back when we used to go to libraries versus Google.
Right.
The Dewey Decimal System was a way of arranging and predicting where you would find, say, social studies or history or fiction versus nonfiction. Ayurveda was a way of classifying the entire universe around us, truly. The ethereal bodies, the plants, the foods, the minerals, everything was factored into a category. And in that category, then you could predict what its action, or in the Dewey Decimal System, what its subject was about. And they did that based solely on taste, which is fascinating to think about. They said that taste would give them the biggest insight. And when you think about it, our senses are actually more complex than computer systems. There's never been a computer that's been able to outperform even our olfactory nerves for our nose. That is probably one of the most accomplished computer systems in itself, is just our nervous system. So taste, although we tend to kind of assume that it's just a given, it's actually quite a complex, circuitry in and of itself. That organization, that Dewey Decimal System that created Ayurveda, created these basic kind of categorizations in the world, which are Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Those categorizations help us not only predict their weaknesses, but also their strengths. It helped us predict the emotional variabilities within their character. It helped us to predict the foods, the herbs, even the emotions that would be contraindicated. The ways we talk about side effects were the ways they talked about doshas. By understanding their relationship, their physical, body, emotional relationship with the world around them. And today in physiology and anatomy, for those of you who've recently taken those kind of courses, or for those of you who are exercise physiologists or trainers, you talk about it today, but you don't use that language. What you call them is ectomorph, mesomorph, and endomorph, the body types that make a more full-figured person versus a wiry person versus a muscular person versus a person more adept towards, or more aligned to gaining weight quickly versus someone who loses weight very quickly versus someone who can't gain weight very quickly. Those those aspects are talked about today in science, but we've lost the language that they originated from, which is Ayurveda.
That's fascinating, and that's just the very tip of the iceberg. I know it's a huge subject. I am so glad you're here to help us figure it out, and some products and formulas that can help each one of these types that you mentioned. So stay with us, folks. We're here with Omar Cruz of Himalaya Drug Company, Himalaya Herb Company, and we'll be right back. You're listening to the Healthy Home Hour, sponsored by the Healthy Home Market on Streets 1033, Charlotte's new hip-hop station.
Friends, do you eat the amount of vegetables recommended by every major health organization, 5 to 9 servings daily to maintain health? Well, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, less than 9% of American adults do. Luckily, there's a great solution, and it even tastes good. Healthy and Slim Daily Greens Formula by Aloe Life. It's an easy and delicious way to get in the daily recommended servings of dark green leafy vegetables. Healthy and Slim Daily Greens Formula is top quality, certified organic greens blended with whole leaf aloe vera and Nepal cactus to support energy and stamina. Each heaping teaspoon supplies 3 servings of dark green vegetables that contain life-supporting nutrients, proteins, minerals, vitamins, and even essential fatty acids that people need to support body wellness. To learn more, visit www.allolife.com or call 1-800-414-ALLO. That's 1-800-414-2563. You can also find Aloe Life products at finer health food stores nationwide. Aloe Life, where being healthy never tasted so good.
Skin Gel by Aloe Life is made from fresh, certified, organically grown aloe vera leaves. The formula contains 1% skin nutrients of vitamin E, A, and C combined with additional herbal extracts. The ultimate value of Skin Gel is unmatched by any other topical aloe vera on the market today. The golden yellow color shows the presence of the yellow sap used traditionally for healthy skin. Skin Gel by Aloe Life is a natural and safe way to support the body, popular for hair, scrapes, burns, scars, sunburn damage, or troubled skin. Skin Gel by Aloe Life is a natural astringent, perfect to apply to clean, washed skin to tighten, and may even support cell regeneration, as shown in Aloe Life's 1997 skin study. Follow with face and body lotion for maximum benefits. Look for Aloe Life products at your local health food store or online at allolife.com, or call them today at 1-800-414-2563. That's 1-800-414-ALOE. The Aloe people. Aloe Life.
Friends, are you in and out of doctors' offices suffering with digestive issues, gas, heartburn, allergies, weight loss challenges, depression, or declining health in general? Well, find out why and what to do about it in the best health book of the century, fully referenced, called Beyond Gluten Intolerance, GIS. 3 books in one with 12 chapters, well referenced, including recipes, and over 80 health conditions and 20 healthy focus factors required to reach optimum health. Beyond Gluten Intolerance, GIS, is for people living with any disease, those who desire to reach a healthy weight goal, and others purely seeking disease prevention and learning how to stay healthy. Visit www.beyondglutenintolerance.com. That's beyondglutenintolerance.com, or call 1-800-414-2563. Learn how making just a few dietary adjustments and getting digestion functioning back again makes the world of difference, often in just days. Visit www.beyondglutenintolerance.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, listen up. This is your favorite superhero, Captain Immune System. I'm always hard at work defending you against millions of bacteria, viruses, toxins, and parasites that would love to invade your body. But sometimes, even superheroes need a helping hand, especially with winter approaching. It's your job to help protect the protector. So start by eating a better diet, exercising, getting plenty of rest, and adding some quality supplements to your life. One being my partner in crime, aloe vera. Aloe vera is full of vitamins, minerals, enzymes, amino acids, and micronutrients that can help me, the immune system, to be strong and resilient against infection. Many scientists and researchers believe that aloe vera supports the body to fight illnesses and diseases. When choosing an aloe vera product, quality is everything. Aloe Life has been crafting the highest quality aloe vera products for decades. To learn more, visit allolife.com or call 1-800-414-ALOE. Aloe Life is available in finer health food stores nationwide.
Novocaine, baby, baby. Novocaine, baby.
Welcome back back. You're listening to the Healthy Home Hour. I'm Holly Adams, your host, and we're here with Omar Cruz of Himalaya, talking about herbs and even getting a little primer on Ayurvedic medicine. And, you were speaking about the doshas, the kapha, pitta, vata doshas, and that sort of breaks down into the various types of body types. And it seems to me the one thing that all those people have in common is the mind. Mm-hmm. And is even the mind separated out in those three types when you're talking Ayurveda?
Again, the doshas are like a way of describing our relationship with the environment. So yeah, the mind is of course common to all of them, but our propensity towards, say, fear, say, anxiousness, say, over responsibility versus anger or frustration versus sadness or attachment and desire. Those are all variabilities that can be kind of classified within this little Dewey Decimal System, like we said, of Ayurveda. So people who are more aligned to that vata element, to the element of wind for us, the people who they tend to be very tall or very short. They tend to be very thin. They tend not to gain weight very quickly or gain muscle think of wind in terms of a farm. If there's a lot of wind, it's very hard to grow anything. Mm-hmm. You lose all that topsoil, which is truly that nutrient dense part of the land. So if there's a lot of wind, well, you're not going to gain much. You're not going to be able to grow very much. And so you see these extremes with these type of wind people. When you get scared, for example, and again, this is all about kind of looking at these overlapping generalisms, if you will. Right. A good way of remembering what the effects of wind are emotionally is when the wind blows, the trees, right, the leaves start to shake. And just like us, when we're fearful or nervous, we start to shake. You get nervous and you start trembling. You're on a plane maybe, and the plane's bouncing around, and suddenly your hands are moving and your legs are moving. And so vatas tend to be more sensitive to the environment when the environment is filled with anxious or fearful types of events. Whereas the other doshas may respond differently. The other doshas may respond with anger or frustration, for example. The other doshas are more responsive to emotional ups and downs, like we said, sadness or depression. Mm-hmm. So you can see how even if the stressor is the same, our way of responding is unique. And through those responses, we can kind of generalize and predict their behaviors as well as their reactions to certain foods, medicines, or even plants.
So with these various ways of approaching or feeling in the world and how one responds to the world, I want to go back to, I mentioned earlier, stress care, and you mentioned how herbs have more of a overarching approach rather than specific synthetic drugs targeting just one thing. And it's, it sounds like Ayurvedic medicine is focusing on the mind quite a bit. Yes. That's really an integral part, like a bedrock of the medicine. And that's not something our Western medicine spends a lot of time on. And it seems like that's kind of a bad setup, the way we're all running around and the way we do it in the West, particularly when there's so much stress. Mm-hmm. I mean, we are all multitasking fools at the moment. We're texting at stoplights and obsessively following what's trending. And one of the products I want to talk about, as I said, is the stress care. Tell us about it. Why is it so good? How does it help all three of these types?
Good point. And like we said, definitely our relationship with stress is something that we need to get more aware of. And Ayurveda truly is a system of the self. It's about learning yourself. It's about learning your own reactions. It's about learning about your own weaknesses or propensities, learning about your own strengths versus relying on the generalisms that exist for everybody. Vata, Pitta, and Kapha is a way of understanding why one diet works for somebody and it doesn't for somebody else. Vata, Pitta, and Kapha explains to us why somebody reacts really great to one form of medication and somebody else won't. This is truly a system that observed the subtleties and the generalisms, but also saw the overlapping similarities, and so that we can start seeing those kinds of predictions, if you will, in nature. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, and we talked a little bit also, you mentioned about Western medicine, how it's a bit different in terms of its approach to that. We're working on a book. I'm working on a book with the company to kind of greater talk about this differences between the two. And just really quickly for the audience, the differences can really be summed up in autopsy. Autopsy truly separated these two systems of medicine. And if you think about it, autopsy really was the beginning of Western medicine. It was the first time in history that we were able to see inside a decaying body. because every culture, including European cultures, had outlawed autopsy up until the event where chemistry or the pre-chemistry of alchemy was able to preserve the body for longer periods of times and also limit the ability to infect the population. That's why autopsy was outlawed, because a decaying body had the potential of spreading disease. So if you look at it in the Judaic tradition, right, you have until sundown the next day to bury someone. Very true, and for the Tibetans were the same way. You did sky burial within a day. What did the Vikings do? They put you on a boat, they lit it on fire, they put you out on the river. Every culture had a way of protecting the citizenry by limiting their observation of a dead or decayed body. Autopsy was the first time in history we were finally able to see the end of disease. And that's truly was eye-opening, and it was the window for science to peek out through. And in doing so, we created drugs that were based on solely that observation of organic illness. But think about it. If you didn't have autopsy to see the disease process, all you could see was where it began. What were the things that led them to this disease? Because you couldn't see the ending. You couldn't see overt pathology. You couldn't see the lungs filled with pneumonia. You couldn't see tumor formations in the liver. You couldn't see pancreatitis occurring. But what you saw was their habits. What was the diet like? What was their emotions like? What led them to this position? And from that perspective, we have the difference between preventive medicine and Western medicine. Not to say Western medicine is not preventive, but truly they're born out of this new science of seeing the body at that point. So we in the West, we in the East, see death and disease from very different points of view. Ayurveda, Himalaya Drug Company, we see illness from the beginning, which would be the mind for us, because Ayurveda said that all disease begins in the mind and then spreads through the body. In the West, what they focus on is the physical body. So they look for insulin. They look for these biochemical markers that define the changes, because necessarily they're not looking at it from its true beginning. Another way of kind of identifying is this. I always ask people, what were the symptoms that you had when you first got the cold? And everyone will say, scratchy throat, my nose was running a little bit, I got tired. And I tell them, well, that's interesting, because fatigue is not necessarily very specific to the cold. I mean, people can be tired and not have the cold, right? Sure. So I ask them, when did the tiredness start? And they say, well, actually, I've been tired for a couple of weeks. And then I say, okay, well, what was the symptoms that related to that tiredness? And then they say overwork, overstress, all the emotions that come with it. And suddenly there's no clear beginning to the cold. And in fact, there's no clear ending to the cold if you follow the symptoms the other way.
Right.
So from that perspective, the mind truly becomes the true beginning in terms of our formulary and in terms of our way of approaching disease states, always starting in the mind and then moving our way outward.
That is the most fascinating description I've ever heard of the difference between East and West. It's very clear and organic. Thank you for sharing that. So, I mean, it sounds like it's different to get a bottle of stress care, and what's in there is a different experience and a different result than, say, going to the healthy home market and deciding, oh, well, I'll get valerian root because I'm nervous or I can't sleep. How is the formulation aspect? Tell us about that.
The formula was based on, and this is a formula that's been around since the 70s, and even then, if you look at the history of Ayurveda, it's been around for thousands of years. These are not new concepts, in other words. These formulas were based on reducing our propensity to react to stress. So it's limiting in some way the kind of the dramatic or overmuch reaction that we can have to stress. We talked a little bit this yesterday when we were in that little meeting together. We talked about how you and I can be in the same car, but traffic will affect us differently. And that truly is where we look at these plants. What are the types of plants that can reduce our sensitivity to stress without sedating us? And that's the big, trick.
That is a big trick, because it very often, like valerian root, all of a sudden you just feel like going to sleep rather than just being calmer in the experience you're in. This is so interesting. We'll be right back. We're going to take a short break. Stay with us, folks. We're talking to Omar Cruz from Himalaya. This is good stuff. Keep it locked to Streets 103.3.
Skin Skin Gel by Aloe Life is made from fresh, certified, organically grown aloe vera leaves. The formula contains 1% skin nutrients of vitamin E, A, and C combined with additional herbal extracts. The ultimate value of Skin Gel is unmatched by any other topical aloe vera on the market today. The golden yellow color shows the presence of the yellow sap used traditionally for healthy skin. Skin Gel by Aloe Life is a natural and safe way to support the body, popular for hair, scrapes, burns, scars, sunburn damage, or troubled skin. Skin Gel by Aloe Life is a natural astringent, perfect to apply to clean, washed skin to tighten, and may even support cell regeneration, as shown in Aloe Life's 1997 skin study. Follow with face and body lotion for maximum benefits. Look for Aloe Life products at your local health food store or online at aloelife.com, or call them today at 1-800-414-2563. That's 1-800-414-ALOE. The Aloe people. Aloe Life.
Friends, are you in and out of doctors' offices suffering with digestive issues, gas, heartburn, allergies, weight loss challenges, depression, or declining health in general? Well, find out why and what to do about it in the best health book of the century, fully referenced, called Beyond Gluten Intolerance, GIS. 3 books in one with 12 chapters, well referenced, including recipes, and over 80 health conditions and 20 healthy focus factors required to reach optimum health. Beyond Gluten Intolerance, GIS, is for people living with any disease, those who desire to reach a healthy weight goal, and others purely seeking disease prevention and learning how to stay healthy. Visit www.beyondglutenintolerance.com. That's beyondglutenintolerance.com, or call 1-800-414-2563. Learn how making just a few dietary adjustments and getting digestion functioning back again makes the world of difference, often in just days. Visit www.beyondglutenintolerance.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, listen up. This is your favorite superhero, Captain Immune System. I'm always hard at work defending you against millions of bacteria, viruses, toxins, and parasites that would love to invade your body. But sometimes, even superheroes need a helping hand, especially with winter approaching. It's your job to help protect the protector. So start by eating a better diet, exercising, getting plenty of rest, and adding some quality supplements to your life. One being my partner in crime, aloe vera. Aloe vera is full of vitamins, minerals, enzymes, amino acids, and micronutrients that can help me, the immune system, to be strong and resilient against infection. Many scientists and researchers believe that aloe vera supports the body to fight illnesses and diseases. When choosing an aloe vera product, quality is everything. Aloe Life has been crafting the highest quality aloe vera products for decades. To learn more, visit aloelife.com or call 1-800-414-ALOE. Aloe Life is available in finer health food stores nationwide.
Friends, do you eat the amount of vegetables recommended by every major health organization, 5 to 9 servings daily to maintain health? Well, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, less than 9% of American adults do. Luckily, there's a great solution, and it even tastes good. Healthy and Slim Daily Greens Formula by Aloe Life. It's an easy and delicious way to get in the daily recommended servings of dark green leafy vegetables. Healthy and Slim Daily Greens Formula is top quality, certified organic greens blended with whole leaf aloe vera and Nepal cactus to support energy and stamina. Each heaping teaspoon supplies 3 servings of dark green vegetables that contain life-supporting nutrients, proteins, minerals, vitamins, and even essential fatty acids that people need to support body wellness. To learn more, visit www.aloelife.com or call 1-800-414-ALOE. That's 1-800-414-2563. You can also find Aloe Life products at finer health food stores nationwide. Aloe Life, where being healthy never tasted so good.
Novocaine, baby, baby. Novocaine, baby.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Healthy Home Hour. I'm Holly Adams here with you from the Healthy Home Market, talking to Omar Cruz of the Himalaya Drug Company, Himalaya Herb Company. And you may have seen them, those beautiful orange-capped bottles with the a lot of green in there, like a forest green orange bottle. They were so pretty and kind of reminiscent of India, really, that orange color of saffron.
Exactly.
We were talking about stress care before the break, and I'm wondering what the studies reveal with a person who, with several people, say, in your human clinical trials, of taking stress care, and what does it do then for anxiety or depression or insomnia or one's energy level? They're fatigued, but maybe they're not just overworked. They're actually down or
Definitely.
depressed.
And you're mentioning that the sheer variety of symptomology that you tend to talk about with stress is truly indicative of how complex that word is. I mean, we have it down to one word, but truly it has a very far reach. So the study that we created was using a parameter of measurement for success that's widely available and widely used in the industry. In fact, it's used by many and all of the antidepressant companies that manufacture drugs for anxiety or for depression. It's called a Hamilton rating scale for depression. It's a standardized test, in other words.
Right.
And so we use that test as standard kind of device to measure the success of stress care over 6 weeks period of time in a double-blind, placebo-controlled setting. So half of the group had the stress care product, 2 capsules twice a day, and the other group had a similar-looking capsule, but it was filled with inert or non-active ingredients, as to see, whether or not it was our ego that caused the results, or whether or not it was actually the formula itself. And what we found was we saw an 82% reduction in incidence of insomnia versus 20% in the placebo group. So a pretty big difference between them just in sleeping habits. And that was people getting to sleep as well as staying asleep. So those are 2 different categories in terms of sleep behavior.
That's powerful.
Very much so, because we know that when we go into deep sleep, it's when we repair muscle, it's when we repair brain, it's where we have a lot of backup. Think about when your computer goes to a restart. That's pretty much what you do every day when you sleep. And if you don't sleep well, you're not able to back up and getting all that great new information that's coming in and getting out the old files that you don't need anymore. We also saw that 85% of them woke up easier in the morning versus 19% in the placebo group. That's an indicator that their adrenal glands are waking up with them. And that ease of waking up in the morning is a great characteristic to kind of visualize or symbolize the health of your adrenal glands generally. But we also found that people by 63% had better energy in the middle of the day versus 5% in the placebo group. So even a greater difference between these two. And this is a good indicator that their vitality is coming back. And also their blood sugar kind of ups and downs are starting to resolve, because stress really does wreak havoc on the sugar content of our blood. But on the emotional side, we saw that 60% of them had reduced feelings of worthlessness, this feeling feeling heavy, versus 8% in the placebo group. And actually, which is a fascinating part of the study, 79% had reductions in suicidal thoughts or ideations versus 9% in the placebo group. So again, what we're measuring here is not only quality of life measurements, but also mood and our true vitality and vigor to kind of enter the stream of life again. And when you think about it, when you're overwhelmed, when you have the really bad day at work, and when you get to your car, there's a ticket, and then when you get home, there's a pipe broken, those moments where you just truly don't know where you're going to find that kind of a strength. That's what we're looking for in this formula, to kind of help us gain that extra advantage, a little bit more of a little bit of a help to kind of push us over the edge without depending on a stimulant like caffeine or a sedative like alcohol or valerian. We're moving away from the things that depress the system or stimulate the system, but rather empower the system to deal with this type of stress in our lives. In the past, we used to talk about homeostasis. Homeostasis means standing still, and that's kind of the goal of sedatives and stimulants. What you want them to do is stay in a consistent state, whether it's catatonic or whether or not it's chaotic with stimulants. They just want you to stay in that place. The new word we're looking for, and truly this defines what we have in stress care, is allostatic, which means the flexibility to react to the demands of life, but then returning back to the middle. So getting that energy together when you need it, but also being able to relax. And that's what we're forgetting to do in this culture. And that's what we're measuring success with the stress care.
That's fascinating, because it really sounds like it's balancing, it's self-balancing kind of in your body, and it's stimulating that natural response of healing. There's so many people on antidepressants in the country. There's stats out there of 1 in 4 in the country are on some type of pharmacology. Can you take stress care if you're on an antidepressant?
Yeah, and that's the great news is that we actually study for things like that. You know, we're in 92 countries, and in over 30 countries, we're actually sold in pharmacy settings. So we actually have to look and we have to study for those types of contraindications and interactions. And we're proud to say that we have no known contraindications with any currently manufactured and dispensed drug in the United States. So we're pretty happy about that. But even more proud, I should say, is that on every bottle, we have an 800 number. We actually have an MD, a medical doctor on staff who works in Houston 8 to 5 Central Time, and our home office is in Houston, Texas. And she can answer that question for you. So you can call and you can ask Dr. Grace in this example, you know, hey, I'm on Lipitor and I'm on maybe Prozac, or I'm on Lipitor and I'm on a penicillin. And you can call and ask if there's any contraindications or interaction with any of our products. So we actually did add that professional element to the office because we live in a polypharmacy world. You know, people are taking a lot of medications these days, and there needs to be a true expert to help us in guiding our way through these selections.
That's very generous. Folks, you can get to that number by going to www. Himalaya Drug Company.
Oh, you go to HimalayaUSA.com.
Okay, and that's HIMALAY.
AUSA.
Thank you. So, you know, while we're still on this subject, before we jump to something else, you know, there's a lot of stuff out there, conversation, and we're seeing the results of ADD and dementia, and autism rates are rising. And of course, with all the various troops, male and female troops that are coming back, there's PTSD. Is there any study about those kinds of things with stress care?
Yeah, those are all interesting directions for us. And luckily enough, we have a large R&D facility. In fact, our R&D facility is over 80,000 square feet, which if you want to compare that's about the size of Whole Foods flagship in Austin, Texas. That's how large just our R&D facility is. I work among over 200 scientists on staff, pharmacists, we work with pharmacologists, we work with medical physicians, work with Vaidjas, which are Ayurvedic physicians, herbalists alike. We have a dermatologist on staff. We have a wide variety of staff here that guides our R&D facility. And we even have a 24-bed hospital on site. So we actually can do overnight studies before we go into our second, third, and fourth tier of clinical investigation. So this is truly a company that's on both sides of research as well as manufacturing. It's truly the marriage that we need in the supplemental industry. Not to wait for research to come out and not to wait for the news to tell us what's really exciting and new, but to be able to take these types of formulas, take the history that we have borrowed to understand these formulas, and then truly, you know, scientifically measure them in a double-blind placebo-controlled settings after all the toxicology studies have been done, after all the safety studies have been done, after all the liver enzyme studies have been done, so that we can truly understand the safety of it before any of this comes out. So, yeah, we're definitely leaning in all the directions you're mentioning. We are very interested in a lot of these factors. And what's beautiful about this company, I'll say, is when we run into a condition that's better managed through lifestyle, maybe better managed through other management devices like surgery perhaps, or truly allopathic care like drug therapy, we don't try and compete in that. You know, we truly want what's best for the person who's taking this product. So we focus on the areas that we feel we have a true role in. And we're seeing that with phobias, with generalized anxiety disorders, with these types of depressive or even post-traumatic types of situations where there's a real need, there's a vacuum of therapy that's in these fields, for example, that we do believe that plants have a role in. But you won't see us boasting about anything until we have a published study. And those, like you can imagine, take 7 to 11 years to complete. But again, it works at the speed of science, which can be quite slow, but the results are worth waiting for because we get studies like we just mentioned that have true demonstrable effects, that have comparative narrative with our placebo group, so that we can say with all confidence, this is the thing that can give hope. You know?
Yeah, and it's a very different approach and different experience than just having that chemical drug that's easy to to monitor in a much, because it's so much more contained than a big broad bunch of herbs that are in a formula. So this is so interesting. I wish you could be here for a couple of hours, but we got to take just another break. We'll be right back, folks. Stay with us. You're listening to the Healthy Home Hour on Streets 103.3.
Friends, do you eat the amount of vegetables recommended by every major health organization, 5 to 9 servings daily to maintain health? Well, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, less than 9% of American adults do. Luckily, there's a great solution, and it even tastes good. Healthy and Slim Daily Greens Formula by Aloe Life. It's an easy and delicious way to get in the daily recommended servings of dark green leafy vegetables. Healthy and Slim Daily Greens Formula is top quality, certified organic greens blended with whole leaf aloe vera and Nepal cactus to support energy and stamina. Each heaping teaspoon supplies 3 servings of dark green vegetables that contain life-supporting nutrients, proteins, minerals, vitamins, and even essential fatty acids that people need to support body wellness. To learn more, visit www.allolife.com or call 1-800-414-ALLO. That's 1-800-414-2563. You can also find Aloe Life products at finer health food stores nationwide. Aloe Life, where being healthy never tasted so good.
Skin Gel by Aloe Life is made from fresh, certified, organically grown aloe vera leaves. The formula contains 1% skin nutrients of vitamin E, A, and C combined with additional herbal extracts. The ultimate value of Skin Gel is unmatched by any other topical aloe vera on the market today. The golden yellow color shows the presence of the yellow sap used traditionally for healthy skin. Skin Gel by Aloe Life is a natural and safe way to support the body, popular for hair, scrapes, burns, scars, sunburn damage, or troubled skin. Skin Gel by Aloe Life is a natural astringent, perfect to apply to clean, washed skin to tighten, and may even support cell regeneration, as shown in Aloe Life's 1997 skin study. Follow with face and body lotion for maximum benefits. Look for Aloe Life products at your local health food store or online at allolife.com, or call them today at 1-800-414-2563. That's 1-800-414-ALOE. The Aloe people. Aloe Life.
Friends, are you in and out of doctors' offices suffering with digestive issues, gas, heartburn, allergies, weight loss challenges, depression, or declining health in general? Well, find out why and what to do about it in the best health book of the century, fully referenced, called Beyond Gluten Intolerance, GIS. 3 books in one with 12 chapters, well referenced, including recipes, and over 80 health conditions and 20 healthy focus factors required to reach optimum health. Beyond Gluten Intolerance, GIS, is for people living with any disease, those who desire to reach a healthy weight goal, and others purely seeking disease prevention and learning how to stay healthy. Visit www.beyondglutenintolerance.com. That's beyondglutenintolerance.com, or call 1-800-414-2563. Learn how making just a few dietary adjustments and getting digestion functioning back again makes the world of difference, often in just days. Visit www.beyondglutenintolerance.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, listen up. This is your favorite superhero, Captain Immune System. I'm always hard at work defending you against millions of bacteria, viruses, toxins, and parasites that would love to invade your body. But sometimes, even superheroes need a helping hand, especially with winter approaching. It's your job to help protect the protector. So start by eating a better diet, exercising, getting plenty of rest, and adding some quality supplements to your life. One being my partner in crime, aloe vera. Aloe vera is full of vitamins, minerals, enzymes, amino acids, and micronutrients that can help me, the immune system, to be strong and resilient against infection. Many scientists and researchers believe that aloe vera supports the body to fight illnesses and diseases. When choosing an aloe vera product, quality is everything. Aloe Life has been crafting the highest quality aloe vera products for decades. To learn more, visit allolife.com or call 1-800-414-ALOE. Aloe Life is available in finer health food stores nationwide.
Novocaine, baby, baby. Novocaine, baby.
We're back. You're listening to the Healthy Home Hour this beautiful Sunday morning. I'm Holly Adams. We're here with Omar Cruz of Himalaya Herbal Company or Drug Company, and we've been talking about stress care. And is there anything else you want to add to this idea of helping folks with stress care?
I do. And we just reviewed the clinical trials, which is exciting. But clinical trials are made so that they're anonymous, so that no one has their own little face or ego put into it. This is why we have the scientific model of double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized studies. But I also wanted to bring, a personal addition to it. This is a comment from Mrs. Emmerich. She was aged 87 when she wrote this down for us. And I just want to share what she wrote about her experiences. She'd been taking stress care for a little over a month, probably a little less than 2 months if I recall. So let's just say about 6 weeks. And she wrote, and I'm quoting her here, "I'm feeling young again. My anger is gone too. I'm not depressed anymore. I'm very calm now. Now my dreams are beautiful. I stopped crying. I've got out of seclusion and I'm joining senior activities now. I feel like a girl again." And those are great, responses. And as we talked about Ayurveda in terms of the 3 poisons of the mind, anger, fear, and attachment, we talk about those being the true seeds of disease, according to this traditional system of medicine. You can start truly seeing the antidote in what she's talking about. Anger, these fearful dreams that are now becoming beautiful, the seclusion that we tend to see with sadness and with aging, all of those being adjusted. And again, without the use of stimulants or without the use of sedatives. So, we don't miss out. We're not unplugged from life. The goal is to truly increase that vitality. And interestingly enough, just another designation between the two, Ayurveda and Western medicine. In Western medicine, your first promise is to do no harm, a very noble approach, but also a little intimidating when you think about it. Right. In Ayurveda, your first promise is to treat the will to live. That is it. That is our first promise, and that is a massive difference if you think about it. Treat the will to live in whatever way that means, which means drug therapy is the way to do it, then treat the will to live through there. If tonic plants are the way to do it, then treat the will to live that way. Diet, therapy, talk therapy. If it treats the will to live, that's truly the goal of the system of medicine.
That's beautiful because it really brings in the mental aspect, the emotional aspect of living. That's so huge. It kind of got thrown out of the mix with Western medicine. Mm-hmm. That's always the last thing people look at.
Because emotions are hard to measure, and science is about measuring things. If you can't measure emotions, there's really no value to it in Western medicine. So at least until, again, the machinery advances enough to measure emotions like that.
Right. Yeah. The other thing that's such a big part of life after the mind is the liver.
Yes.
I mean, it is a very busy organ. It does over 500 different things, and it's detoxing us all the time. But there's more to it than just that. We think of it as just the detox organ, but there's lots of other things going on with the liver. Why is the liver so busy? Why is it set up like that? What is it doing for us besides detoxing?
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, its roles and functions are pretty vast. In fact, if you look at its location, it tells you a lot. It's hidden right under the right rib cage. And the rib cage is there to protect the most sensitive organs you have, right? The heart, the lungs, the distribution of blood, the oxygenation of blood, and then you have this liver. It's truly one of those organs that the body said, this one's got to be protected. The brain's got to be protected. We start losing priorities as we get toward the reproductive organs, you know what I mean? Those can go away, right. But you can't lose these vital organs that are truly life-saving, and the liver is really demonstrative of that. The liver in and of itself filters all of your blood, all of it, within 4 minutes. And that's all of your life. So imagine that. You live well enough into your 80s or 100s, every 4 minutes, its job has had to come into place. Those 500 jobs, which, by the way, that 500 jobs comes from a textbooks of hepatology. This is not, eclectic medicine talking. This is modern textbooks saying that there's about 500 jobs this one organ does. And more fascinating than that, they can do 200 at the same time. That's talk about multitasking.
Right. That is staggering to think about, and Himalaya's got this incredible liver care that speaks to the health of the liver beyond detoxing, right?
Yeah, and liver care and the international product Live 52, they've been around since 1955. It was formulated by Himalaya's first female medical director they hired in 1950, which is also, just incredible to see a woman in science, hired in science, because it's another challenge that we have in the West, not only in the East, but it was her formulation, and since then, it truly is the most broadcasted product, I think, on the planet in terms of herbal medicine. In fact, BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, did an 80th birthday show on the Himalaya Drug Company, and according to their math, we sell or prescribe every 1/8 of a second that liver formula. That's how much volume in just that. Those are their numbers. That wasn't even us. We didn't even know that until they actually told us about that volume. So it's a very successful formulation, and it's for a pretty vital organ, like we said.
So there's also, I know that you just completed a new clinical trial at Himalaya on the liver and non-infectious hepatitis, and there's also a lot of talk about liver care and protein intake, which is kind of a new twist on folks that are into smoothies and taking protein powders and et cetera. Tell us about that.
Sure.
The connection.
Sure. So the liver, one of those 500 jobs of the liver, of course, is to create new proteins. So if you think about it, no matter what protein you eat, you really don't need the protein. What you need is the amino acids. So the amino acids are like the letters that spell out the protein. And whether or not those amino acids spell out chicken or beef or soy or pea protein or whey protein, essentially the amino acids is what makes the protein itself. If you didn't break those protein downs into amino acids, you would slowly become a chicken if you were eating a lot of chicken protein, because the proteins are truly the building blocks of what you are. So what happens in the digestive system is the stomach, the acids of the stomach will break apart these protein chains into amino acids, and then all of those amino acids are put into the liver. The liver, as a part of its miraculous kind of magic, will start putting these together into human proteins. And that's what the body's actually looking for. And that's what we decided to measure in our last study. We've shown from time and time again, there's over 200 clinical trials on our Liv52 and liver care formulations. We knew it supported the function of the liver. So the new hypothesis was, well, if we take liver care, then can and will we see more protein synthesis out of the body? And in fact, we did. In the clinical trial we ran over 60 days, it was over 60 days with, let me double check these numbers, but I'm pretty sure it was 100 people. Yeah, we were with 100 people. What we measured for was nitrogen coming out of the body. You see, nitrogen is needed for the formation of protein. So for every 4 grams of protein that your body makes, it requires 1 gram of nitrogen. So that's the role of nitrogen in the body, is to make protein. If you're not making protein, in other words, if you're not building muscle, if you're not building immune cell proteins, if you're not building the proteins that clot the blood, right, or make even our hormones, because those are all hormones, are all protein based. If you're not making proteins, the body will get rid of nitrogen. It has no other role in the body but to make new proteins. So what we did in this study is we captured their urine and their fecal matter, their waste material, and we looked for nitrogen. The more nitrogen in their waste material meant the less proteins they were making. So we got these folks, we got them on a baseline, we figured out how much on average they were losing in nitrogen, and then we added either the placebo or the liver care. And then over 60 days of use, 4 days out of those 60 days, we sampled their waste material, and sure enough, we saw this beautiful trajectory where they were losing less nitrogen in the liver care group, which means they were building more protein. And if you look at just those 4 days worth of data, it looks like those people on liver care created over 50 grams of protein compared to the placebo group. That's a pretty sizable remark, and important, particularly as we get older and we lose more proteins.
I was thinking just that as you were talking. I was thinking this would have a profound impact on people's rate of aging. Explain that a little bit more.
Sure. I mean, think about it. All your connective tissue, our skin, right, our immune system, all the organs that function in the body are protein related. So the more we can rebuild these tissues, the more we can truly have an anti-aging device without having to depend on anything, Frankensteinian, to make the body reverse its natural propensity towards aging. The aging process is a combination of dehydration and the lack of new tissues, the inability to repair itself because of this lack of protein. Every year after the age of 30, you lose about 3% muscle mass. That's the example of how much protein is lost every year after the age of 30. So the liver becomes paramount in terms of in terms of increasing our capacity to create new proteins, the hormones that regulate growth, and again, the tissues that create elastin, and the tissues that create skin tissues, our joint tissues, and even our muscle mass.
So the bodybuilding community must be all over this.
They've been the one that responded the most. I showed it to a couple of folks in that community, sports physiologists, and a couple of, and it was amazing. I've never gotten a phone call so quickly back from anyone because I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm sure you can see, but no one else on the radio can see. I'm definitely very average sized, but I wanted to run it by that community to check and see how they responded to it, and they were so excited because we truly saw something causing an anabolic effect without the need or necessary use of steroids. This is very promising for performing athletes.
That's huge for professional athletes and people even recovering from injury.
Sure.
So we're going to take just another little break. Don't go away, folks. We're right here for you with Omar Cruz from Himalaya, and we'll be right back. Stick with us on the Healthy Home Hour.
Skin Gel by Aloe Life is made from fresh, certified, organically grown aloe vera leaves. The formula contains 1% skin nutrients of vitamin E, A, and C combined with additional herbal extracts. The ultimate value of Skin Gel is unmatched by any other topical aloe vera on the market today. The golden yellow color shows the presence of the yellow sap used traditionally for healthy skin. Skin Gel by Aloe Life is a natural and safe way to support the body, popular for hair, scrapes, burns, scars, sunburn damage, or troubled skin. Skin Gel by Aloe Life is a natural astringent, perfect to apply to clean washed skin to tighten, and may even support cell regeneration, as shown in Aloe Life's 1997 skin study. Follow with face and body lotion for maximum benefits. Look for Aloe Life products at your local health food store or online at aloelife.com, or call them today at 1-800-414-2563. That's 1-800-414-ALOE. The Aloe people. Aloe Life.
Friends, are you in and out of doctors' offices suffering with digestive issues, gas, heartburn, allergies, weight loss challenges, depression, or declining health in general? Well, find out why and what to do about it in the best health book of the century, fully referenced, called Beyond Gluten Intolerance, GIS. 3 books in one with 12 chapters, well referenced, including recipes, and over 80 health conditions and 20 healthy focus factors required to reach optimum health. Beyond Gluten Intolerance, GIS, is for people living with any disease, those who desire to reach a healthy weight goal, and others purely seeking disease prevention and learning how to stay healthy. Visit www.beyondglutenintolerance.com. That's beyondglutenintolerance.com, or call 1-800-414-2563. Learn how making just a few dietary adjustments and getting digestion functioning back again makes the world of difference, often in just days. Visit www.beyondglutenintolerance.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, listen up. This is your favorite superhero, Captain Immune System. I'm always hard at work defending you against millions of bacteria, viruses, toxins, and parasites that would love to invade your body. But sometimes even superheroes need a helping hand, especially with winter approaching. It's your job to help protect the protector. So start by eating a better diet, exercising, getting plenty of rest, and adding some quality supplements to your life. One being my partner in crime, aloe vera. Aloe vera is full of vitamins, minerals, enzymes, amino acids, and micronutrients that can help me, the immune system, to be strong and resilient against infection. Many scientists and researchers believe that aloe vera supports the body to fight illnesses and diseases. When choosing an aloe vera product, quality is everything. Aloe Life has been crafting the highest quality aloe vera products for decades. To learn more, visit aloelife.com or call 1-800-414-ALOE. Aloe Life is available in finer health food stores nationwide.
Friends, do you eat the amount of vegetables recommended by every major health organization, 5 to 9 servings daily to maintain health? Well, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, less than 9% of American adults do. Luckily, there's a great solution, and it even tastes good. Healthy and Slim Daily Greens Formula by Aloe Life. It's an easy and delicious way to get in the daily recommended servings of dark green leafy vegetables. Healthy and Slim Daily Greens Formula is top quality, certified organic greens blended with whole leaf aloe vera and Nepal cactus to support energy and stamina. Each heaping teaspoon supplies 3 servings of dark green vegetables that contain life-supporting nutrients, proteins, minerals, vitamins, and even essential fatty acids that people need to support body wellness. To learn more, visit www.aloelife.com or call 1-800-414-ALOE. That's 1-800-414-2563. You can also find Aloe Life products at finer health food stores nationwide. Aloe Life, where being healthy never tasted so good.
Novocaine.
Hey, glad you're with us. Welcome back. I'm Holly Adams here with Omar Cruz from the Himalaya Drug Company, Himalaya Herbs. It's sort of a back to the future conversation today, talking about the beauty of Ayurvedic medicine that brings the benefits and the genius of the past forward into modern medicine, talking about all these human clinical trials, really showing the efficacy of this tradition of medicine. Before the break, we were talking about liver care in particular and the value of liver care for keeping your liver healthy and whole and able to do 500 different processes and including building up your muscle tissue and all the proteins in the body that are necessary for skin, collagen, joints, connective tissue, etc. But I'm also wondering about liver enzymes because you talk to people all the time, and they'll come into the healthy home market and they'll say, "Gee, I've just gotten back from my doctor, and he says my liver enzymes are elevated." Explain to us what that means. I mean, I imagine that maybe liver care could help with that. Maybe. Yeah,
and definitely liver enzymes are something you want to watch. You definitely want to keep an eye on that, and no matter what supplements you take with that, definitely keep an eye and go back to your visit. Usually your doc will ask you to come back in a few weeks or maybe in a few months if liver enzymes are high. And the reason being is this, we talked about the liver doing 500 jobs. Those 500 jobs are performed by a cell, and there's many of them obviously in this, but they're all the same cell. They're called hepatocyte. So they're a liver cell that performs these 500 jobs. Normally, it's performing all of its jobs with a variety of intracellular enzymes. These are different from the digestive enzymes that you know of. These are the enzyme devices within the cell itself that are truly, orienting all of the nutrition that you're digesting, all the waste material in your blood, and all the materials that need to be conjugated out through toxicity, for example. These are all performed by these enzymes within a cell. So if you will, imagine these enzymes being the worker bees of the cell itself. Now, when the liver is injured, and it can be injured from a number of things. It can be injured from a night of drinking, say. It can be injured from Tylenol use. This is another example of abuse of Tylenol, I should say. It can be abused from illness or infection, for example. Anytime the liver is abused, much like any other kind of apparatus, it falls apart. And when these cells essentially fall apart, those enzymes, those worker bees, leak into the blood. So when you go in and do your normal blood work, the liver function panel, those enzyme panels are going to give us a count of how much enzymes are found in the blood. And from that, we can extrapolate how many cells approximately are dying and the rate that they're dying at. Now, there's normal going to be wear and tear. I mean, these cells don't last. They're not immortal, right? So they're going to fall apart. We're looking for the rate, the number, and the direction that they're going in. And that's what we looked at in our clinical trials as well. If the liver care formula was made to protect these hepatocytes, then truly they should have an effect on liver enzymes. And that's what we've shown in time and time again in various clinical trials, that we can, maintain that normal liver enzyme count. And that is an example of how these cells can fight toxicity or even fight injury from normal day to day. Even if you're stuck in Charlotte traffic and breathing in all that carbon monoxide those are all very toxic to the blood, and everything you're breathing in gets put into the blood. And so the liver has to be the one that factors it out. And all of that injury, all of that day-to-day exposure, we can actually, promote vitality within those cells and reduce that loss of cells through the loss of these enzymes.
So we've talked about stress and with stress care and all the results of having your mind working better and supporting the emotions in the mind and those three doshas, the kapha, pitta, vata.
Very good.
And then we talked about the liver, but we can't go anywhere without talking about sugar. Because it's a big problem all over the world. It's so tough on our bodies and our cardiovascular system, our brains. Himalaya, you've got a product called Glucocare.
Like glucose, yeah.
And could that help folks not only with sugar, but even people that are further down the line and into a diabetic process?
Most definitely. Glucocare is a wonderful formulation. It definitely supports normal blood sugar levels as a part of hopefully a good diet. We can't, I would hate to send anyone, even in a drug world setting, anything that would help them avoid a good diet, because a good diet really does have benefits far lasting and far more than just blood sugar itself. So in combination with a good diet, that's actually great. and it says a lot, and it's shown a lot of support, both in fasting blood sugar levels as well as postprandial blood sugar. That's the test that you take after a meal. Usually you go to the doctor's office, they'll give you what's called glucola, and it's a horrible tasting drink, and you drink it, and then you have to come back in 4 hours. Usually they don't let you leave, actually, but then you do your blood work again. That's testing how sensitive insulin is, the hormone, to the receptor site. We've studied it in both of those categories very successfully. So it's a wonderful formulation. The key to its success is through the historical understandings of Ayurveda. Ayurveda says that you have to work on the mind with these blood sugar anomalies, and that makes sense because stress causes what's called gluconeogenesis. Gluco, sugar, new, genesis, the creation of new sugars.
Oh dear.
Stress actually causes the body to dump sugar in the blood so that we can feed the brain energy for the fight or flight decision. And this is kind of why there's a coffee shop every 5 feet, right? Because caffeine is a stimulant. It's a stressor. So it's a bit of a sugar high in a way. And in doing so, we kind of get a little bit of energy from the sugar and a little bit of stimulation from the caffeine. And we can see how sugar and stress relate back and forth. So Ayurveda said, focus on stress. The other thing they said to focus on was the digestive potential. They said most likely these folks need support in their stomach and in their intestines to absorb food well. And if they can't absorb food well, they're just going to eat very simple carbohydrates, breads, pastries, candies, the things that give them really quick energy. But in doing so, we're kind of babying the problem, which is a poor digestive function. So our GlucoCare formulation approached it from that direction. Help the stress response system so they don't get stressed out as much, which means less craving for simple sugars and less cravings for those stimulants that come as a part of stress. And also, get more support to the digestive system so they can crave more complex foods. All of you probably on the radio show have all tried a diet at one point, and it's very difficult.
It is, yes.
It's difficult to stay with a diet because the brain knows what the body needs and what the body can handle. So Ayurveda says that changing cravings can happen if you change their digestive potential. And I've seen it happen time and time again with people. When they get on GlucoCare, when they get on a formula that supports their intestines, for example, their diet changes naturally because their cravings can now be expanded to include foods that are a little more difficult to digest, like a salad or lentils or, beans, things that they would normally avoid because of digestive complications. Now they can depend on versus bacon or burgers or things that are very fatty, very simple kinds of foods, and again have a long term consequence like sugar would.
So in taking the GlucoCare, you could actually affect the digestion.
Yeah, in fact, that's one of the things we measured for in the clinical trials. Not only for that, we measured for quality of life, burning hands and feet, a number of times waking up at night to urinate. These were all things that we measured for because, of course, as you get higher and higher blood sugar, the kidneys have to filter out sugar, and that's why they end up having to urinate so frequently. But on average, with our 3-month studies, on one of them that we did on GlucoCare, we saw a 24% drop in fasting blood sugar numbers and a 19% drop in postprandial, the glucola test, the insulin sensitivity test. We saw those numbers drop by 19%. So we saw quality of life, we saw energy, we saw better night of sleep because they weren't having to urinate through the night, as well as better numbers when they went back to their physicians, which is all great. And of course, if anyone's taking, these medications, always include, the supplements when you talk to your doctor. Make sure you're letting them know what they're taking, not only for your own health, but for their health, because the doctors are a lot reticent to take on herbal medicines. The more they can see that these things work, the more likely they're going to be open to these suggestions later on in their practice with other people.
It's wonderful that we can all play our part in educating everybody, even your doctor.
Exactly.
Amazing. Omar, thank you so much for being here. I'm delighted to have you here. Thank you for sharing your wealth of knowledge for all of us.
Thank you so much, Holly. It's been a pleasure.
It has been a pleasure. We'll do it again sometime.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, folks, get to the Healthy Home Market. Check out Himalaya and, go in and talk to the folks, some of the educators there that are right on the floor working for you to find out about liver care, stress care, and GlucoCare. And there's lots of other products by Himalaya that you'll want to check out. And you can check it out online, too, if you want to talk to that doctor that's sitting over there in Texas right now, you want to talk to and have some questions about your meds versus with some of these products and being able to put them together. So thanks for being with us. I'm Holly Adams, and until next week, I'll see you at the market.
Pay it forward and restore yourself by making the healthy choices for you and your family, and enjoy life with the Healthy Home Market. Feel the goodwill and own great health. Check it out at healthyhomemkt.com. That's healthyhomemkt.com for store locations, details, and discounts. Get the best of God's green blue earth at the Healthy Home Market.